Good day and welcome to the Weather Centre. Heavy rain overnight in the northeastern parts of South Africa. Therefore, we'll start with a few viewer photos. More than 50 millimetres in the eastern parts of northwest. Flooding in the northern parts of Pretoria received more than 100 millimetres of rainfall overnight. Road closures this morning in parts of Johannesburg. This photo is taken in Kempton Park, and more heavy downpour this morning in Centurion. Let's have a look at our satellite image. What caused the heavy downpour in the northeastern parts? We do have the strong upper air trough over the central parts, pushing down lots of cloud and moisture over the northeastern parts of South Africa, therefore causing the rain showers and thunder showers. A few rainfall observations: more than 100 millimetres overnight in Gauteng, 112 in Irene, 101 millimetres recorded in Johannesburg, around 40 millimetres in the central part of Mpumalanga, above 50 millimetres into the interior of KwaZulu-Natal, 51 in Vryheid, and just below 30 millimetres along the coastline of KwaZulu-Natal. For the rest of your Thursday, still cloudy and wet conditions in the northeastern parts of South Africa, with a few more thunder showers and rain showers. We do have this cold front moving over the south coastline, pushing in some light rain over the south coast and parts of the Eastern Cape. There's a 40% chance of light rain, but widespread rain showers in the northeastern parts of South Africa. Therefore, we still have a watch for heavy rain and flooding possible in the northern parts of Gauteng, over Limpopo and the northern part of Mpumalanga. Winds today southerly over Cape Town, fresh 30 km per hour, a northeasterly wind in KwaZulu-Natal, a light northwesterly wind over Gauteng and the Free State. It's much cooler in the northeastern parts due to cloudy conditions. Only 24 degrees today in Pretoria, 23 for Johannesburg, a high of 30 in Bloemfontein, warm in the Northern Cape, 36 degrees in Upington and 28 today in East London. Extended forecast is showing more thunder showers and rain showers in Limpopo, Mpumalanga and KwaZulu-Natal. A few isolated thunderstorms for Gauteng and the Free State. Sunny and warm over the Northern and Western Cape. Light rain over the south coastline, and into the weekend, yet again thunder showers in the northeastern parts, moving a little bit westwards over northwest, the Free State and the eastern parts of the Northern Cape, with a lovely day in Cape Town, a high of 30 degrees. That's all from me. Have a lovely day.
Janusz Walu was denied amnesty by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in 1999. It said that while he'd been active in the AWB, he had not been given any direct order to assassinate Hani.
Związek Radziecki był zaangażowany.
While conspiracy theories surrounding the true motive for this Polish lorry driver to kill Chris Hani abound, still, Waluś insists he felt duty-bound to kill a communist leader. His brother Witold Waluś says he and Janusz fled Poland in 1981 because of suffering under the communist regime. In fact, his Polish Secret Service file shows he had initially been refused a passport to travel to Africa.
So what made you come here?
South Africa was obviously reviled in the communist propaganda, and because we always hated the communist propaganda, so we felt, okay, enemy of our enemy should be our friend.
Waluś grew up in this house in Krakow. Quiet and seemingly passive, his cousin says he was a motor racing champion.
What's the trophy for?
Rally. Poland master in this class. Time is stopped when Janusz go.
Why?
Because he's a good man.
Waluś's daughter Eva lives in Poland. She hasn't seen her father since she was a child.
I think he paid really high price for it. Even if he was wrong, I think that the price is sufficient now.
Waluś has applied for parole 3 times. He tried to marry his girlfriend of 12 years, but permission was denied. He too was stabbed by an inmate along with Clive Derby-Lewis. His family says he lives for Catholicism and Kung Fu. Annika Larson, Cape Town.
the abundant mineral wealth in our continent, which is making other continents richer, must improve the lives of Africans. It must help us defeat poverty, disease, and helplessness amongst our peoples. Our two countries should also unite in bringing about peace and stability in the continent through providing maximum support to the peace and security efforts of the African Union. Our people need peace, they need development, and they need to see their lives getting better every day. South Africa is optimistic about further growth of economic ties between the two countries. Nigeria has opened up its economy to South African companies in various sectors such as engineering, telecommunications, construction, aviation, media, hospitality, banking, entertainment, property, retail, and oil and gas exploration services. We welcome this significant development. We would like to see the number of Nigerian investments in South Africa also increasing as we promote two-way trade.
Like we've said, whatever sentence that she gets won't bring Nkuli back, but when this whole appeal and bail situation is just ridiculous, the system has failed. Honestly, I feel that it's not fair. And the guys as well feel that it's not fair. It's not a fair outcome for her to actually get bail. You know? But yeah, that's as much as I can say about the matter.
Jamaican Alexia Palmer accuses Trump model management of lying to the federal government in its work visa application. She claims the agency promised to pay her R1.25 million a year salary while living in the United States, working as a model. Instead, she says she only got $50,000. The complaint alleges fraud and violations of U.S. immigration and labor law. The suit is seeking class action status to represent other models who believe they were misled and underpaid after coming to the United States with sponsorship from Trump's modeling agency. If a judge rules the case can proceed, it could revive attention on Trump's foreign labor practices. Donald Trump has been promising American workers jobs, but this case appears to show his companies importing overseas workers at much lower rates.
I'm at Curo Durbanville, where I will spend some time with 15-year-old learner Alia Abrahams. She will be part of the field that will compete at the Curo South African Juniors International Tournament taking place at Durbanville Golf Course this week. Balancing high school and golf can be a daunting task for many. Alia Abrahams is passionate about the sport and has the proper support structures in place.
It's tough, to be honest, but like my school, Curo, they help me a lot in terms of catching up with work. So when I miss work, they always keep it for me, and the teachers always help me catch up. Well, my dad started playing golf, and I started when I was 10, but I only started really enjoying golf when I was like 12 or something.
Do you feel you could make a career out of golf?
I would like to pursue it on a serious level if I get the opportunity to. I mean, golf let me come to the school I go to, and yeah, I've been able to travel all around the country and things like that.
There's a continuous drive to see South African female golfers participate on the LPGA Tour.
South Africa has taken a little while to get along with ladies golf, but we've had some really good players coming through. Without a doubt, the unions are making a difference. They're growing the game. They're giving more opportunity to girls. Sunshine Tours has welcomed the ladies on board, so they're giving them more opportunity to play, which is vital.
As you've just witnessed, I've learnt a trick or two from Alia. This budding junior golfer has her eyes set on the world stage and hopefully emulate SA Ladies Champion Leanne Pace. Justin Ford, Durbanville, Cape Town.
Tsepo Ngwato was 11 years old when his mother died of AIDS-related illness. She was never given ARVs and died in the same year that then President Thabo Mbeki uttered these words.
Does HIV cause AIDS? Does one virus cause a syndrome? A virus cannot cause a syndrome.
Tsepo would find out after his mother's death that he'd been born with HIV. He's now an outspoken HIV activist and is open about his status.
I don't care. You know, if my friends decide to back off, let them back off. Friends, you know, I can make another friend, and like tomorrow, the following day, that friend will actually accept my status.
Mbeki sparked controversy this week when he repeated his stance that a virus, which is what HIV is, cannot cause a syndrome, which is how AIDS is identified. Since his government was ordered to supply ARVs to pregnant women, hundreds of thousands of babies have been born without HIV, despite their mothers being positive. But an estimated 35,000 babies were not spared that fate and have grown into young adults who are living with the virus, something that could have been prevented.
Wow, Thabo Mbeki. I think he's looking for attention. That's what I've seen. Because I know he started a page, but he's trying to bring out old wounds. And he's trying to take us people who are fighting against HIV very far back. And I think at the end of the day, he's trying to hurt a lot of people. Remember, we still have people who are still in denial about their statuses. And how can we solve that? That means he's setting our main mission and helping out those people far back.
Ngwato says he's passionate about reaching young people, many of them babies born too early, whose lives have been irretrievably damaged by Mbeki's dogged defiance about HIV/AIDS. Karen Morn, Johannesburg.
We shall fight capitalism with all our might.
From altar boy to commander of a guerrilla army, Martin Tembisile Hani was born on the 28th of June 1942 in what was then the Transkei. He dreamed of becoming a priest. Instead, he joined the ANC in 1957 and later the SA Communist Party. But it was as a member of the ANC's armed wing, Umkhonto weSizwe, that Chris Hani earned his stripes.
Excellent military man, a soldier of soldiers.
MK veteran Thula Bophela fought alongside Hani in 1967 in what was then Rhodesia.
When the battle starts, Chris stands up and is fully visible to the enemy. So when we said to him, why don't you take cover? Now, how am I going to command you if I can't see the enemy?
Trained in Angola, in Cuba, US.
He received military training in the Soviet Union and Germany, and much of Hani's life was spent in exile in countries such as Tanzania, Zambia, Mozambique, and Lesotho.
He was the most loving person I'd ever met.
He married Dimpose Kamane in Lusaka in 1974, and they had 3 daughters.
At dinner, he would be asking the girls one by one, how was your day? What happened? Did you have a test? How did you do? So it would be, going from this one to that one. Of course, not being his daughter, I would be the last one to be asked.
In 1969, Hani proved he wasn't afraid to speak out against injustice and corruption. He and a group of MK soldiers were censured by the ANC after they wrote a damning memorandum accusing their leaders of living comfortably in exile, their children enrolled in posh universities. Their foot soldiers at the front line all but forgotten.
That's one thing he hated, corruption. And in the letter that he wrote to the leadership, he was hitting very hard on corruption.
Chris Hani would have reined in and stamped his foot when he saw that people were now involved in self-aggrandizement schemes.
Anti-apartheid activist Nick Borain was involved in arranging some of the initial meetings between the ANC and the Apartheid Defense Force. He describes Hani as a charming soldier with a love of classical literature.
I remember one particular night where he had a hand on the 2 particular guys, hand on each shoulder. His head was back and he was talking about, Chris Hani's head was back, and he was talking about the future that we were going to have together. And I must tell you, those guys, both of them, in fact, many in the audience, they were in love with him.
I think how shall we convince people about this?
For Tokyo Sehwale, a former member of Umkhonto weSizwe, Hani's strength as a leader came to the fore when the ANC suspended the armed struggle in 1990.
The mission, was given by the leadership to the one who was our leader in war to go and tell the various structures and people that it's time to engage in peace.
And more often than not, the question of where Hani would be today had he not been assassinated elicits one answer.
He had all the characteristics for being a future president.
This was going to be a leader.
Possibilities dashed on that fateful autumn morning in 1993. Thula Semelane, Johannesburg.
This is something that is unacceptable. This is something that should not have happened. And the fact that years later, we are being told now that we have to understand again, the majority of black people have not received enough information as to what happened and who were the responsible parties. The Hani family lost a beloved father, a loving father, and they still are having questions that are not answered. That is very problematic for us. So we do believe strongly that without justice, there will be no rainbow nation. And we think that the Hani family did not get justice after this decision, and the people of South Africa still are hunting for that justice.
I would like you to read the judgment. you will find out she did not apply her mind, and I don't think she did any research. In her judgment, there is no point in her judgment where she talks about my husband's killing. As far as she's concerned, it never happened. Therefore, her judgment cannot be correct. Just to let Waluś out without referring back to my husband's death, I think justice has not been done in this case.
It's almost 19 years to the day Zephanie Nurse was kidnapped. And it's also the day that Zephanie writes her matric exams, because the trauma of having life as she knew it destroyed meant she couldn't write last year. The judge had nothing but praise for the state star witness, a Mrs. Shireen Pitt, who told the court the kidnapper, who can't be named in line with a court order, had tried to steal her baby on the very same day Zephanie was snatched from the same maternity ward. Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe described the accused's testimony as astonishing, and he said to her, "It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that your version is a fairy tale, and I reject it with the contempt it deserves. I find you guilty on all 3 counts." Biological mother Celeste Nurse's heartfelt sobs echoed in the courtroom. Outside court, Zephanie's biological parents looked relieved but said very little.
Sorry man, I've got no comment today.
Very emotional, and I'm glad that the law has taken its place. It's been 17 years, still doesn't bring back anything, but at least I can build my relationship with my daughter.
Ek voel ecstatic. I feel good because justice will prevail, was our first say. Ons het gehuil vir 18 jaar. Allah heal dat binne, laat Allah heal.
Zephanie is back. We just got to work on it, how to get her back to us. But I love her, and I do love her with all my heart.
The man who brought Zephanie up and with whom she still lives appeared shocked.
No comment. I'll speak again when I feel better.
The woman found guilty of kidnapping Zephanie Nurse was denied bail pending sentencing and led down to the cells. Sentencing procedures will take place on the 30th of May. Annika Larsen at the Western Cape High Court.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Weather Centre. A strong upper level trough is responsible for the heavy rain overnight and today in the northeastern part, more than 50 millimetres in parts of Mpumalanga, above 100 millimetres recorded in Gauteng and above 60 millimetres into the interior of KwaZulu-Natal. Therefore, today's stormy weather in the northeastern part, cloudy and cool with isolated thunder showers and rain showers. A few thunderstorms have developed into the interior of the Eastern Cape and in the western parts of Northwest and the Free State. For the rest of your evening, cloudy and wet conditions for the northeastern part, a few more isolated thunderstorms, cloudy and rain showers in KwaZulu-Natal and the Lowveld. We do have this cold front brushing over the south coastline, therefore some light rain for the coastline of the Western and Eastern Cape. And then tomorrow that cold front is brushing along the coast and spreading light rain all the way to KwaZulu-Natal. A mostly cloudy day and isolated thunderstorms for Limpopo, Gauteng, Mpumalanga and the eastern parts of the Free State with dry conditions for the Western and Northern Cape. Tonight, rainfall probability, a 40% chance of thunder showers developing over parts of Northwest and the Free State, a 40% chance of light rain over the south coastline, 60% chance of thunder showers into the interior of the Eastern Cape as well as over Mpumalanga, but widespread rain showers in Limpopo. Still a 40% chance of a few more thunderstorms developing over Gauteng. Therefore, drive carefully on slippery and wet roads. More than 100 millimetres fell in Johannesburg overnight and today. Winds this evening still breezy along the coastline of the Western Cape, and then breezy conditions moving into the interior with a mostly southeasterly wind gusting more than 30 kilometers per hour. Overnight lows mild with 17 degrees in Upington, Kimberley, as well as Johannesburg, 20 degrees in Richards Bay, 16 for Cape Town, and a low of 19 in Port Elizabeth and East London. And then look ahead at our maximum temperatures. Warmer tomorrow in the northeastern part, 31 degrees in Gauteng, a mild 28 degrees in Pretoria, 37 degrees for Upington. Cooler along the southeastern coastline due to the cold front, only 24 degrees tomorrow in East London. Extended forecast over the weekend, cloudy, wet and stormy conditions for Limpopo and Mpumalanga. Afternoon isolated thunderstorms for Gauteng, northwest the Free State and the eastern part of the Northern Cape. Overnight drizzle for Cape Town with a high of 28 degrees. And then on Sunday, more stormy weather moving into the Northern Cape, the interior of the Western and Eastern Cape with rain showers along the coastline. That's all from me. Have a lovely evening.
Eskom says its restructuring program is bearing fruits. It's been months since the power utility has had to implement load shedding. And if things go according to plan, the lights are expected to stay on.
We don't foresee load shedding for the year unless something goes terribly wrong. I don't know. I can't even imagine what that is, but it is still conceivable because we're not out of the woods yet.
It's all because Eskom's multi-billion rand projects are now coming online. The Kusile and Medupi power plants are making progress, while one of the units of the Ingula pump storage scheme will be online by the end of the year.
We think that when we finish this capital program, there should be enough electricity for... In fact, we think that in 5 years' time, South Africa will have surplus electricity.
Government has praised Eskom for the turnaround.
I must commend both the new leadership, Brian Molefe, Anuj Singh, and also just their rearranging, just shifting the decks a little bit.
The rating agencies.
But the power utility says for the time being, electricity reserves remain tight, and is still urging consumers to conserve electricity. Lester Kibbet, Parliament.
The White Paper on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities is aimed at ensuring greater participation for people living with disabilities and removing barriers to participation.
Not just to talk about it, but to implement it, to have policies that will guide us, because we are a constitutional democracy.
The document contains policy directives on making the lives of people with disabilities easier.
Hopefully, once we have an act, then that way we will be able to hold certain sectors responsible, that you cannot deny my child schooling, you cannot deny my child employment.
But implementation concerns remain. Less than 1% of people with disabilities are employed. That's despite the national target for companies to ensure that at least 2% of its workforce is made up of people with disabilities. One group says there's a need to ensure that directives are implemented.
As long as we are heads of departments, we are directors general, are not assessed based on this, the ministers are not assessed on the performance in terms of the empowerment of disabled people, you would not see things happening.
President Zuma has inaugurated the Presidential Working Group on Disability. He will chair the group, whose main task will be to ensure progress on the rights of the disabled. Those in the sector have cautioned against getting too excited about the working group, hoping it will be more about tangible results and less talk. Sikelelwa Mdingi, Centurion.
It's been over a month since Solomon Nyarende, Preeti Nkambule and Yvonne Mnisi were trapped underground at Lily Mine in Mpumalanga. They were working in a makeshift office when it plunged into a massive sinkhole. And so far, all attempts to reach them have failed. Now, another tunnel has to be drilled, but that could take about a month, prolonging rescue efforts.
The specialists have advised us that there is one option, and that we're going to approach the container, which is our primary objective, to recover it and its occupants, from a new entrance to the underground mine. This entrance will be located far away from the sinkhole in good geologically stable ground. It will be a very safe option. We think this is going to take as much as 6 months, but as the Minister and I have said, it's a very safe option.
It now seems officials and families are preparing for any eventuality.
They say to us, no matter what is the situation in that container, let's get the container to the ground and begin to have a closure on this issue.
There must be a clue as to what could have caused this collapse.
If you don't mind, Minister, and say that there is no clue. We have absolutely no idea. And all the geotechnical specialists that we've engaged in the last 3 or 4 weeks have no clue either. I must tell you, it was a most unusual event, most unexpected and very sudden. So unfortunately we can't do that, but it will be subject to the inquiry that the Minister referred to.
There's not a slight idea of what could have caused this collapse?
Absolutely.
Authorities say they'll continue to support the families of the 3 workers. Malungelo Boy, Pretoria.
Hello and welcome to it. You're watching eNews Direct. I'm Duduzile Ramela. Here are the stories we're tracking for you this evening.
Irritated me because it says to me, black life does not matter.
Stand by. Hani's killer, Janusz Walu, is set to be released after being granted parole. Motorist missing and rescuers injured as much-needed rain leaves a trail of destruction in Gauteng. To comment on any of our stories, do find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct, our hashtags this evening. Janusz Walu and PTA floods, and a busy day at the courts today. We start with this. The man who shot and killed Hani in 1993 is set to walk free. Janusz Walu's release from prison is scheduled mere weeks before the 23rd anniversary of the assassination. Today, the North Gauteng High Court ordered that he be granted parole, giving the Justice Minister 14 days to set his release conditions. Walush's co-conspirator Clive Derby-Lewis was released last year.
The prison gates are about to swing open for the assassin whose murderous act nearly derailed the birth of South Africa's democracy in 1993. And Hani's widow is outraged.
It has really irritated me because it says to me, black life does not matter.
Hani is particularly incensed at comments Judge Nicolien Janse van Nieuwenhuizen allegedly made during the hearing. She reportedly urged Hani to seek forgiveness in her heart.
There is no point in her judgment where she talks about my husband's killing. As far as she's concerned, it never happened. Therefore, her judgment cannot be correct.
The ANC-led alliance is equally furious, with the Communist Party vowing to appeal against the ruling.
First, he did not speak the truth, which is the reason why the TRC did not give him indemnity. Today, without speaking the truth, like W. Lewis, he's been set free.
It is a travesty of justice, and we think that on his release, we will demand that he must be deported to the country of his origin, because clearly, given his action, which were premeditated, he's a poisoned chalice to a democracy.
Waluś's lawyer, on the other hand, has hailed the judgment a victory for the principle of being consistent in applying the law, and says it closes the chapter on what he's called a sordid episode. Thulasizwe Semelane, Pretoria.
12 years. That's how long Sindisiwe Manqele could spend behind bars for killing her rapper boyfriend Nkululeko Flaba Habedi. Manqele stabbed and killed Habedi in March last year. She claims the rapper had been abusive that night following his alleged violent outbursts.
Just over a year after she stabbed and killed her rapper boyfriend, Sindisiwe Manqele has been slapped with a 12-year sentence for the crime she says she never intended to commit. Although the court showed her mercy, this was not enough for Manqele to escape jail time or be placed under correctional supervision.
The third reason why the courts have to punish you is deterrence. To deter you, to stop you, to deter you from committing further crimes, from killing your future boyfriends.
And despite getting a sentence that is lower than usually prescribed for murder, Manqele will be appealing both her conviction and sentence.
The law has taken its course. It's fine, we're happy about that. And no one is above the law. It's fine, we're happy. So this is not going to bring Nkululeko back. Yes, the law has taken its course.
Her lawyers say they saw the sentence coming.
One can never really be ready. We try to prepare her, but it's still hard to dissolve. But I suppose she was ready to receive such news.
And the NPA has welcomed the ruling.
It is within her right to apply for leave to appeal, and as the state, we will be opposing that application.
Manqele has been convicted and sentenced, but won't be spending the night or the coming days behind bars. She's been granted bail and is expected back in court in April, when a formal application for leave to appeal will be brought before the court. Bongiwa Kumalo, Palm Ridge Magistrates Court.
The woman found guilty of kidnapping Zephanie Nurse in 1997 is spending her first night in prison. Her bail was revoked after she was found guilty of kidnapping, fraud and contravening the Children's Act. Zephanie Nurse was kidnapped from Grooteskier Hospital when she was 3 days old. She was found last year when she unwittingly befriended her biological sister, who attended the same school as her.
The judge had nothing but praise for the state's star witness, a Mrs. Shireen Pitt, who told the court the kidnapper, who can't be named in line with a court order, had tried to steal her baby on the very same day Zephanie was snatched from the same maternity ward. Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe described the accused's testimony as astonishing, and he said to her, "It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that your version is a fairy tale, and I reject it with the contempt it deserves. I find you guilty on all 3 counts." Biological mother Celeste Nurse's heartfelt sobs echoed in the courtroom.
Sorry man, I've got no comment today.
Very emotional, and I'm glad that the law has taken its place. It's been 17 years, still doesn't bring back anything, but at least I can build my relationship with my daughter.
Ek voel ecstatic. I feel good because justice will prevail, was our first say. Ons het gehuil vir 18 jaar. Allah heel daar binne, laat Allah heel.
Zephanie is back. We just got to work on it, how to get her back to us. But I love her, and I do love her with all my heart.
The man who brought Zephanie up and with whom she still lives appeared shocked. The woman found guilty of kidnapping Zephanie Nurse was denied bail pending sentencing and led down to the cells. Sentencing procedures will take place on the 30th of May. Annika Larson at the Western Cape High Court.
Let's change gears and move away from the courts now, and the search for a motorist who has been swept away in a flooded river in Pretoria has been halted because of heavy rain. The occupants in another car that also washed away managed to escape. In other parts of Gauteng, the downpours have damaged houses and caused major traffic disruptions.
Heavy downpours have kept rescue teams on their toes. In Pretoria, 2 cars were swept away by flash floods at low-lying bridges.
The first car was washed down a low-water bridge in Doringpoort. Luckily, that occupants escaped. We got another call from a farmer on the Winnengnestkrans Road, where a car was also washed down a river.
The driver was Leon Stradom. Rescue teams rushed to rescue him from the rising current. The 40-year-old father of two was on his way to work around 5 o'clock in the morning. At the time, the water was knee-high and his car was washed away downstream as he tried to cross.
The divers managed to get to the vehicle. Once they start trying to enter the vehicle, there was movement on the vehicle and the vehicle was washed away another 50 meters, stuck underneath a bridge, and it was totally below the water level, so we could not see the vehicle anymore.
Strong currents took their toll on the rescue mission. 2 police divers were injured and taken to hospital. Rescue efforts were halted when more rain came down. The wait has left family and friends of the missing driver distraught. In Ekurhuleni, heavy rains have left several shacks inhabitable. Weather services say the cloudy conditions will persist over Gauteng until Sunday, but with reduced rainfall. Leranzo Temba, Pretoria.
A quick look at world news now, and Myanmar's National League for Democracy has named its presidential candidate, ending 4 months of speculation. It has confirmed party leader Aung San Suu Kyi is not a contender. Suu Kyi is barred from becoming president because her children are not Myanmar citizens. And 2 gunmen ambushed a party at a home in Pennsylvania, killing 5 people. 3 others were wounded. Police are searching for the suspects who are on the run. The motive for the shooting is not yet known. Right, let's see what's topical on social media now. And here's a question. Do you know how much President Jacob Zuma earns? Well, today members of parliament voted to up the figure, nearing 2.9 million rand. 81 MPs voted against it, mostly from COPE, the EFF and the DA. But 172 thought it was a good idea. And moving on, Twitter anger spilling over today after it was announced that Chris Hani's killer will be paroled in 14 days' time. Many people say that Janusz Walu has never really shown any remorse and should not be released at all. And we asked you what you think of Chris Hani's killer being released on parole. And so far, we have 27% of the people saying it is fair, 31% saying it's wrong, 21% voting insensitive, and 21% merely not bothered. For these stories and more, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct, or head on over to our website. That's eNCA.com/direct. Welcome back. Business news now, and the plight of people with disabilities in the workplace is receiving attention. Less than 1% of the country's people with disabilities are employed. That's despite a 2005 target of employing 2% of the country's 3.5 million people with disabilities. Government is now looking at ways to address the failures.
Karabo Nguyuza is an advocate for the rights of people living with disabilities. For the past 7 years, she's worked as a recruiter for the sector, but her job hasn't gotten any easier.
A lot of companies end up not employing disabled people because they don't want to renovate their company. They'll tell you that no, it's too much money to spend on renovating their building, so you'd rather get someone who's on crutches who can walk around.
She says stigma and discrimination are high.
Problem is that government, most of the companies, they only take people for a learnership and they do it just to comply. They take them for a learnership for a year, and then after a year they let them go.
The Department of Social Development believes the current targets are not encouraging.
Within the workspace, currently the targets are still very low. You would look at 0.83 as a total, for instance. So that's still below 1% per se, let me put it that way. The improvement must happen.
The department is currently hosting a summit aimed at creating ways to improve the quality of life for people living with disabilities. The department aims to set a new target of 7%. But how will this be reached?
We are going to go to TVET colleges, look at the technical, vocational and skilled training, look at the professionals. Because you see, we lose persons with disabilities at grade 9.
Both Palime and Nguyuza agree that a nationwide attitude change is needed when it comes to dealing with the issues of disabilities. Zikhona Chona, Johannesburg.
Right, let's see how the markets performed today. Let's check in with the Weather Center now. Here's Candice.
Heavy rainfall and flooding affected parts of Gauteng, Mpumalanga and Limpopo today. Tomorrow we're still expecting thunderstorms, especially over Limpopo where there's a watch for heavy rainfall. Our accumulation map shows thunder showers over the northeastern and eastern parts with the possibility of rainfall all the way through to the southern part of South Africa. You'll still see a warm afternoon for KwaZulu-Natal with highs in the middle and upper 20s. Thunder showers are expected over the northern part of the province with the possibility of rain along the coast as well as over the southern parts. We're forecasting rain for much of the Eastern Cape with a mild Friday afternoon. Most maximum temperatures are expected to peak in the low 20s. A similar day for Muscle Bay and George, both with the possibility of rain and highs in the low 20s. We're forecasting some light rain for Bredasdorp, Oudtshoorn and Beaufort West, but with a partly cloudy and hot day for Cape Town and Langebaan, both at around 30 degrees. We're expecting a bit of drizzle through to Sutherland, partly cloudy over the southeastern part of the Northern Cape, with a sunny forecast for the rest of the province. Still quite cool for Bethlehem and Harrismith, with isolated thundershowers throughout the Free State as well as the northwest, and you'll see a higher possibility of rainfall as we head towards Zeerust and Rustenburg. Here's where we can expect that heavy rainfall on Friday with widespread thunderstorms and a watch for the possibility of heavy rainfall, particularly over the northern part of Limpopo. Mpumalanga can expect cloudy weather with scattered thunderstorms and most maximum temperatures peaking in the mid-20s. A slightly warmer day for Gauteng tomorrow, 26 for Soweto and Johannesburg, 28 degrees for Pretoria with up to a 60% chance of thunderstorms. On Saturday, we're forecasting some evening rain for Cape Town with thundershowers in the forecast over the central and northeastern parts, still cloudy and wet over the extreme northeastern part of South Africa, and then we'll see that normal thunderstorm activity over the central and northeastern part of South Africa on Sunday with some rainfall along the south coast. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Have a great night.
Thank you, Candice. The performance on the train by two baskers has put them on the centre stage.
'Cause all of me.
Entertainment news now, and a pair of Cape Town baskers have hit a high note after being filmed singing on a train.
Unbelievable. The clip went viral when it was posted on Facebook, and the duo have now been signed up to perform at the Baxter Theatre.
It's this video that started it all. The clip raked in over 100,000 views in days on Facebook. Since then, Mornay Holland and Alta November have appeared on a local radio show and have landed a clothing sponsorship from a major menswear retailer. But the duo from Ocean View say busking is hard work.
If I sit still, where is the food going to come from? But amazingly, God has provided for us in the evenings for food and also to live during the day. But the main reason is I'm busking for a living because I need to provide to my family.
Their performance has now caught the attention of musician Jonathan Rubain. He's given them a spot in his show, The Experience, at the Baxter Theatre.
They really have a passion for music, and what is important about them is that they know that they need to work hard.
Their talent is so inspirational, it's even brought out the diva in me.
And then make that change, yeah.
Well, I'm not quitting my day job anytime soon, but I'm sure with talent like theirs, they can only grow from strength to strength. Leanne Jansen, Cape Town.
A reminder of the day's top stories before we say goodbye. Hani's killer, Janusz Walu, is set to be released after being granted parole.
It irritated me because it says to me, black life does not matter.
A missing motorist and an injured rescuers as much needed rain leaves a trail of destruction in Gauteng. And that's your Thursday edition of eNews Direct.
It is indeed. We're back tomorrow. Good night.